Welcome back to AKC Style, the place for figure skaters who want to learn how to skate their hearts out, compete at their highest potential, and spend as much time practicing their inner work as they spend physically training on the ice. Let's get started. When I first started tracking my thoughts and doing this auditing process, I was going through a transitional period in my life. And part of this transitional period was me quitting my job. I had, at that point, when I started doing this audit, I had left a store manager role at a company that I had been at for about 3 years. And I worked there pre-pandemic, I worked there during the pandemic, and then I left about a year after it started. So I just was drained. I was feeling like I had no energy at the end of my day. On my days off, I had to really muster up a lot of energy to do anything social. Most of the time I'd want to just sleep and I would just be in the house, or I'd have like laundry I have to do. I have to clean up the house. I have to go run errands, and like I had no real break. And then at the same time that I was at this job, I was also building a personal styling business and I was teaching skating as well. So I had zero time and all of my energy was being expelled, and I wasn't being good about replenishing my energy. So my patience was very thin. I was tired every day. My weight was up and down. I had no time to do anything that I enjoyed. And I definitely didn't have any hobbies. I barely had a dating life. Like I would say a non-existent dating life. And I also barely was able to hold on to any kind of social life or socializing in my calendar. After all that, I just really felt like doing this kind of audit made me think, the thing that's the main driver of my energy suck right now is this job for a lot of different reasons, but I need to figure out a way to handle this energy situation because I can't keep living life like this and it's not healthy. And that's really what led me to this reframe your mindset kind of journey in my life. And the first thing that I did is start doing this thought tracker. So it became my personal audit, and it can become yours too. So you're going to start to realize that there are things, people, and places that are draining you and stealing your energy. You'll also notice the same thing for the positive people, places, and things in your life, the things that help you feel fulfilled, the things that refill your energy tank, and the things that are recharging your battery. It could be on a daily basis, a weekly basis, but you're going to start to notice those patterns as you go through this auditing process or the thought tracker. But also it's important to realize that the process will also be messy. So there are definitely going to be times where you might get emotional and you might not really understand why something that you're writing down or thinking about is making you so emotional, but it does happen a lot. And that's just part of the process, so it's normal. Sometimes you'll also notice that the negative thoughts will outweigh your positive thoughts. It might be for the week, it might be for the day, and then that's also normal as well. So if this happens, it doesn't mean that things are all bad or that your life is so negative. Like that's not necessarily what it means. But instead, it might mean that you just need to pay a little bit closer attention to finding the positive moments in your day. And also you might need to spend a little bit more time reflecting and recounting the moments throughout your day where there were bright spots available to you. And maybe you just didn't see them as a big enough factor, or maybe you just had something negative that outweighed everything that happened. But taking that time to find those moments and really reflect is why this thought tracker is very helpful for you. It will be very helpful for you. Unless you've already started doing it, you probably noticed. But you'll also probably feel tired by the end of this week because this process is not easy. It does take time. It does take energy from you, but once you start doing it, it won't be a practice that you have to do every week for the rest of your life. This is just to get you started in this reframe process. It's just to get your mind thinking in the right direction. So I would recommend for sure that you do this thought tracker, or however you decide you want to do this life audit for yourself. I would look at it daily and do that at least for a few weeks so you can stay consistent. And then, the other reason why you should want to do this and why it's messy is because it's forcing you to change. So, most people are not going to look at this thought tracker and say, okay, I feel negative most of the time. I have a few things that are positive. Oh well. And like keep going about their life. This is going to force them to change. So most of you who are here listening, you're probably going to start that process and realize that, yeah, you do have to change. So it is going to be messy. It is going to be uncomfortable. There are going to be moments where you feel frustrated, you feel angry, you feel sad, but there will also be moments where you have breakthroughs, and there will be moments where you feel lighter as well. So you have to remember that this discomfort isn't forever, and that change is what helps us grow. And you're feeling uncomfortable because you're starting your self-transformation. This is where your reframe really is taking hold. So you have to work through this discomfort, because on the other side of that is like these great feelings, and it won't last forever. But if you stop now, you won't get there. So on the other side of this discomfort, you'll feel like a weight's been lifted off your shoulders. You'll definitely feel calmer. You'll be more approachable. You'll feel fine sitting in your thoughts in silence, which is really hard to do. You'll definitely become less reactive too. So don't stop the process just because you feel uncomfortable. If you do, you will notice that you'll regress, and you'll also start to feel even more stuck than you probably did before you started this process. So the other thing that I would suggest is journaling. So I talked about this in episode 1, I think, where I mentioned how you should buy yourself a notebook or journal or something that's just for you. But you can start this audit or this thought tracker in this journal. And when you lay things out in black and white, like not just putting it in your notepad in your phone or putting it in a Word document or something like, or on like a Google document or whatever, being able to see it in your handwriting in black and white, it makes a huge difference. It gives you so much clarity. So like one example is, let's say like at the end of your week, you noticed that everything negative that happened related in some way to your trip to Starbucks. And those of you who love Starbucks, like, you're probably thinking, what are you talking about? So the example of why I'm using Starbucks is because it's some place that like we all go to, and we all can kind of relate to this, or insert Dunkin' Donuts or whatever. If you want to insert Dunkin', go ahead. But we're going to use Starbucks for now. So let's say, on your way to work, you got cut off, car cut you off, or on your way to Starbucks, car cut you off. And then you got there and you were in a bad mood, and then you had to wait for your drink. And then because you were waiting for your drink, because they were really busy, you were late for work. And then maybe the next day, they didn't have the certain ingredient that they need to make your drink extra special. And now you're like really annoyed with that because you had to try something new and it wasn't as good. Or your drink didn't taste as good because they didn't have it. Or maybe they shut off mobile ordering and it made you late, or there was a long line and you couldn't go through drive-through and there was a long line inside. Like whatever that may be, like you're just noticing after you're writing down your journal, you're seeing your negative thoughts, that a lot of things that happened were associated with this trip to Starbucks that you take every day. Now, I'm not suggesting you should stop going to Starbucks or insert coffee shop or wherever your morning thing is. I'm saying that maybe you should go on a different time. Maybe instead of in the morning, you go in the afternoon. Maybe you go during your lunch break. Maybe you go for a quick break at 11 a.m. if you can get away. Like, it means maybe you just try something different and interrupt your regular pattern. You might notice that there's different staff working at the time of day that you choose to go later. You might see different types of people who are there, who may be a little friendlier than when you go during the morning rush. Like, you just never know. And the whole point of this is to interrupt your own pattern so you can start to see things more clearly. Now, also, one thing that you should think about with this journaling process is that it shouldn't be like an hour-long process or half an hour long. It should be quick. You should probably set a timer so you don't spend a lot of time thinking about the negative or the positive and like writing a journal entry. It should be bullet points. You should be like very quick little like excerpts in this little thought tracker in your journal. I would suggest maybe trying for 1 minute of positive and 1 minute of negative, and then move on. Like close the journal and move on to something else. If you spend more than 5 minutes total working on this journaling, you're going to end up in overthinker world. And it does start to make the process feel like homework. So then you're not going to want to do it again the rest of the week because that took too much time. So keep that in mind. Definitely like write down your thoughts real quick, read it back to yourself, and then move on to something else. Go do laundry, go make dinner, go watch a show on Netflix, like whatever that is. But this journaling process shouldn't take a long time. So I don't want you to feel like this is homework, but I do want to give you a little assignment before our next episode next week. And this episode was longer than my normal ones, but I really thought it was important to go through this thought tracker process and really kind of give yourself an audit here. So I wanted to dive deep today. But next week's episode will be shorter. So in the meantime, you're going to sit in this discomfort and you're going to go through this self-audit / thought tracker process. And you're going to spend at least 5 minutes a day by yourself without stimulation. So the by yourself and without stimulation part are so important in this. And again, I'm only saying 5 minutes. You can do however long that your day will allow you to have. But 5 minutes, it doesn't seem like a long time until you have to sit in it. So start there, and then you can build up if you want to. But by no stimulation, I mean no television, no scrolling on your phone, no talking on the phone, no FaceTime, no text, no anything, no social media. If you can't control yourself, put your phone in a different room, and then when the timer goes off, you can go and get your phone. So spend this time staring at the ceiling. Spend this time sitting on the floor stretching. Spend this time working on your breath work, doing like little things like that that'll help, and that will help pass the time, but you need to really sit with yourself. And then the second thing I want you to try this week is to either read a physical book or listen to an audiobook. Now, it's really important to avoid any topics that might be triggering or elicit some type of external or might elicit an emotion due to an external factor. This whole audit and process and this homework I want you to do this week is to help you figure out what's in yourself and to sit in your discomfort. So you don't want to listen to or read a true crime book or novel. You don't want to listen to or read anything that has to do with politics or religion or death or anything dramatic. It's really best to read something that will take your brain into imagination land, okay? So again, whether you're doing listening to an audiobook or you're reading a physical copy, this should be just a short amount of time. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes, 20 minutes. It could literally be 5 minutes so that you'll want to do this every single day for the next week. Okay, so stick to 5 or 10 minutes if you want to with this. Maybe if you're listening to an audiobook, do it while you're in the car. And then when you get to the place, you shut it off. And then when you get back in your car, you listen to music or something. The next thing I want you to do is to do something creative with your hands. So draw or paint. Vision boards, making vision boards counts too. Then the final thing I want you to do is engage in some sort of physical activity for the week as well. So the time and what you do is totally up to you, but it should be physical. If you like to go for a run, go for a run. If going to the gym is your thing, then go to the gym. If you want to take a short walk around your neighborhood, do that instead. Like whatever it is, but you need to engage in some sort of physical activity. So sit with yourself for 5 minutes a day, by yourself, no stimulation. Read or listen to a book. Draw or paint, do something with your hands, and engage in physical activity. That's your homework for the next week. And the reason why I want you to do these things by yourself is, one, so that you can learn that you are able to realize that you can give yourself calm, you can give yourself peace, and you can feel ease on your own. You don't need something else or someone else externally to help you feel calm and give yourself energy. You can do that on your own. And then you also can prove to yourself that you can entertain yourself. You don't need outside stimulation because you can figure it out yourself. And then a lot of times when we have even just one friend, let's say you want to go for a walk, that leads to like complaining about work. Then maybe you're complaining about your boyfriend or girlfriend, complaining about your kids, talking about, you know, how like your pet is a sick or something, like whatever that is. And then the next thing you know, you went from trying to find peace in your walk to now you're adding another thing to your negative end of your thought tracker. So you want to try to avoid being with other people during these couple activities that you want to do throughout the week. And don't go crazy, because you do want to do this every single day for the next 7 days. So I hope that you're able to get through this, and I know you can. It's going to be hard, sit in the discomfort, and then I will see you again in the next episode of the Reframe Your Mindset podcast. And until next time. Oh, also, if you haven't listened to episodes 1 and 2 yet, make sure you go back and listen to those next. Thanks so much for listening today. If you found this episode helpful, let me know in the comments, and be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. This helps other figure skaters discover my channel and also helps me decide what topics I should share with you next. Have fun out there, and I'll see you at the rink.